So they started off in the song. They kept saying about a boring square. We're gonna talk more about shapes like squares in a bit, or I guess not a bit, but tomorrow. But we're gonna focus on some of these other shapes they were talking about. These shapes that he was saying that he wanted to be. Some of these shapes we see a lot in math. The first one he said is he doesn't want to be a square, and if he had just one more side. Who remembers what shape did he say he would be if he had five sides? If he had one more side, it would be what? Kylie?
Pentagon.
A pentagon. Okay, so on my page, I'm going to draw a pentagon. Okay? A pentagon has five sides. One, two, three, four, five. And I'm gonna number them just to make sure. Two, three, four, five. A couple weeks back on our DLRs, we were talking about root words, and we were trying to figure out the meaning of things like telescope and things like that. Well, pentagon has a root in it. The root we're looking for is pent or penta, and penta means five. See, all of these shapes we're going to talk about right now, they're called polygons. Right? So I'm gonna use that as a title for my paper here actually. Polygon. What's up, Alexa?
Did you know that a triangle, whenever you spell triangle, you're gonna see the word tree, like three or something, and then that means that it has like three.
Yep, exactly. So a triangle has the root tri, T-R-I, and that means three. So it's kind of like a clue about how many sides that shape has. Polygons, the cool thing about polygons is they kind of follow a pattern, which we're going to see here in just a little bit. Polygon. Poly means many or multiple. Polygons are shapes that have many sides or multiple sides to them. There
Oh,
are.
and
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
may I go to the restroom, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Polygons. There are tons of different kinds of polygons. For something to be a polygon, it just has to make sure that number one, it has at least three sides. So if it's got three sides, 4, 5, 7, 35, whatever, just has to be at least three. So at least three sides. The second thing that you need to have to be a polygon is there can't be any openings. It has to be a closed shape. So here, my pentagon, notice that all of the sides are closed. There's no openings or gaps or anything like that. So a pentagon is a polygon. And the reason why it's called pentagon is because it's a polygon with five sides. Even got the same last name, kind of, gone. After pentagon, the square was singing about having even more sides than just five. The next shape he talked about was what? Who remembers? Kylie, you have a pretty good memory. You said you remember this.
Hexagon.
Hexagon. Okay, hexagons look a little something like this, and they have six sides. And just to make sure, I'm going to count my sides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hexagon has 6 sides. Again, it's using one of those roots. Now, the way that I remember how many sides a hexagon has is because of the letter X, and it's even in the same place. If I wrote 6, it has an X like in hexagon. So that's just a way that I use to remember that a hexagon always has 6 sides. Now in the video in that song, they talk about some other shapes that we don't see very often. I'm going to go ahead and just skip those, and I want to focus on the ones that we do see pretty often, pretty regularly. The next one that we see pretty regularly is called an octagon. So an octagon has 8 sides. Again, I'm going to count my sides just to be very sure that I have the right amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Octagon also uses a root. This one means 8. Yeah, you're right. All the endings are gone, like polygon. So what's changing is the beginning of them, letting you know how many sides they have. Penta means 5, so it's a polygon with 5 sides. Hex means 6, so it's a polygon with 6 sides. Oct means 8, so it's a polygon with 8 sides. And there's something I use for octagon to help me remember. I think of an octopus. An octopus has 8 tentacles. Let me make sure my octopus. 4, 5, 6. Oops. I almost cut off some tentacles from my octopus. Let me put some more. One more over here and one more over here. There we go. So octagon, I think of octopus, and it has 8 tentacles. What's up, Kylie?
I was gonna say that you could think of an octopus because the O at the first.
Yep. And octopus has that same root, oct, because it has the 8 tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, I'm going to skip over the ones we don't see very often. So the next one I'm going to talk about that's a little more common is a decagon. A decagon has 10 sides. I got to be very careful when I draw this one. It has to have 10 sides to it. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, almost. Hold on. 8. 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oop, did I miss one? Let me try again. It's a good thing I'm using pencil. This would be very hard in pen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Decagon also has a root. This one means 10. There are two different ways that you could use to remember decagon and how many sides it has. One is you could think of, if you've ever heard or you know the word decade. A decade is a group of 10 years. The other thing you could remember is a deck of cards. If you have a deck of cards and you're going through and you're flipping through all the cards start with number 1 and they go all the way up to number 10. After that, they become what they call face cards. But the numbers go from 1 to 10. Just like on a decagon, there are 10 sides. Now, in all of these shapes, the important thing is the number of sides. That is the important thing. So, even though, if you notice that all of these kind of have almost like a round shape to them, they don't have to look like this. The important thing is the number of sides they have. So, a pentagon. I could draw a pentagon that looks very different from this. The important thing is that it has 5 sides. I'm going to show you what I mean. Oh, actually, let's number my sides and see if I have the correct amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So this shape is also a pentagon because it has 5 sides. And they look like two completely different shapes, but they are the same kind. They're both pentagons because of the number of sides they have. Again, the important thing is the number of sides. And that works for all of these, not just the pentagon. Any shape that has 6 sides and no openings is still a hexagon. So normally hexagons might look like this, but they could also look like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got all the sides. That is still a hexagon, even though it looks very different from what I might normally think a hexagon looks like. Works for octagons too. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an octagon. There's no gaps or openings, and it has all the number of sides I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can do the same thing with the decagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're right. It does look like a boat. So people sometimes get confused, or they think if it's an octagon, it has to look like this. No, that's not true. If it's an octagon, the only thing that has to be true is that it has the right number of sides. It has to have 8 sides, and it can't have any openings. So this little boat shape, it's still an octagon because it has 8 sides. There's no openings. The same thing is true for all of my other polygons. Hexagons just need to have 6 sides. They don't all have to look like this. They could look like that. Pentagons could look like this, or they could look like this. And decagons could look like this, or like that. The important thing with polygons is how many sides they have. So long as the number of sides is correct, you have the correct polygon. So when they ask me about polygons, which one is a hexagon or a pentagon or an octagon or a decagon, the important thing to do is always to count those sides. When you count the sides, you'll know what kind of shape you have. Because the sides are the super important ones. That's how we tell these shapes apart, is by counting those sides. Now in that song, in that video we watched, it was all a square talking to us. And he kept saying that a square has 4 sides, which is true. But a square isn't the only shape that has 4 sides. Those polygons that have 4 sides are part of a special group, or like a special club, I guess you could say. And we're going to talk more about those. I think tomorrow is when we're going to talk about those kinds of shapes. But for these ones, there's only one name for a shape that has 5 sides. There's only one name for a shape that has 6 sides, or that has 8 sides, or 10 sides. This is what they are. But not everything with 4 sides is a square. We're going to talk more about those tomorrow. So when we're talking about polygons, always pay attention to how many sides they have. That's what's going to help you figure out the differences between them.